Hey, welcome to the Daily Beard for March 16th, 2019. So I had a bit of a busy day. I had to drop people off at the airport, and then we went to a funeral of one of my guys' grandmothers, who I don't know her, but I know him, and I know his parents. Friends with them, and he's my boy. So went to that with my family because we all know them. And whenever I go to funerals, it obviously makes me reflective and makes me think about my funeral. And I've actually thought about my funeral quite a bit. I actually had to once plan a funeral for a course I did, and so I planned my own funeral. I didn't say it was me because they said don't plan your own funeral, but I planned my own funeral anyways because I'm a bit of a rebel. I just changed the names, and I've thought quite a bit about my funeral, and like that seems morbid in some ways, but it's not really meant to be, because funerals aren't so much as for the person right then and there; they're for the family, but it's how you want to be remembered. And so, if you have a chance, like there's a difference. If you get taken in a car accident, and you don't have any plans, you haven't done anything, then the funeral happens. That happens. But if you have time, you can plan certain things out, and I've thought about what I want. Like I know there are movie clips. My funeral is going to start with a movie clip, and there's going to be a bunch of movie montages in my funeral throughout my funeral. I have a worship team picked out that I want to play music at my funeral. I was in a funeral of a friend of mine named Brian Ronson, who was a firefighter. And died not in the line of duty, died on the way home in a motorcycle accident. And it rocked me hard because the guy was like Superman to me. He was like insanely awesome. And he died, and his family asked me to play bass as part of the worship team. And his funeral was 3 hours long. Firefighters as far as the eye could see. And it was a big funeral. And that made me think about my funeral again. And so I've got my worship team picked out. I got the people I want to lead. I got the actually it's the lady who I'd like to play bass. I got all that. And so, and the people who are going to, well, I don't necessarily haven't picked out the people who are going to speak. That's going to kind of be up to them on some level. But I don't know. Like, I'm not trying to be morbid. I don't want to die. I like living. I'd like to stick around relatively as long as possible. And I'm not afraid of death, but I'd like to stick around. You know, I'm not so much afraid of dying. I would be sad for the people who I have to leave behind, my family and stuff. My daughters and wife would have a hard time with it. And I'm sure some of my friends would too. I'm not selling anyone short here. Like I'm sure I'm not trying to discount my impact. I know I've impacted certain people's lives, and they'd have a huge problem with me not being here. And I'm not trying to. This isn't me being awesome or like everyone should thank me for being. No, I'm not doing that. I'm just like I'm. Yeah, it's one of the things like with depression. And a lot of people who are depressed think suicidal thoughts, and that I've had a lot of thoughts, not so much where I want to kill myself, but I wish I was dead, and over time, which is different, not exactly the same thing. But because of that, I've thought about my funeral a bunch, and going today to this funeral just again brings it all back up. Now, this wasn't a particularly emotional funeral for me. I didn't know the person, like I said, so I went to one lady's funeral who I met her once, but she died very young and left like cancer, and I was wrecked. I literally that was like the most emotional funeral I've ever been to. I barely knew the woman. I know her sister, but it's like funerals do that. It's an interesting thing because today wasn't as emotional because I was super proud of my boy. Because he gave up and talked. He came up and talked and stuff. But I don't know. I'm not trying to be morbid. I've thought about my funeral a fair bit, and what I'd like, definitely some movie montages are going to be in there. That's all I got for today. Thanks. Stay bearded.